Again, this is the Prophet series, and like I promised, because the Midas never breaks his promise. Uh, we're gonna talk about some the feminist movement, maybe a little bit, some
Just
civil.
it was International Women's Day
Yes,
a couple days
exactly.
ago.
A couple days
It's
ago,
relevant.
yesterday, yeah. And we got the special guest to come and talk about it. And I know personally she knows a lot, so I wouldn't trust anyone else to be on and talking about it and representing. Um, Deepa. Uh, so, you guys might remember her from the first show or something, but here she is again, here to help us talk about it. So, let's dive on into it. So, first, Deepa.
Hi, DJ Mattis and Nomadic. Thank you for having me back on the show.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you
Wonderful
for
to have
coming
you
back out.
on.
So,
I want to. I'm sorry, I need to ask a question. The first thing I want to ask is, feminist and feminism. Or I mean, I guess we can combine it really into one, but let's define that.
yes, I strongly believe that there's a lot of misconceptions and negative connotations associated with just those two words, feminists and feminism. Um,
Like negative connotations.
Negative
for...
connotations, bad connotations, not good. People hear feminism or feminist.
Like socially is like
Socially,
Okay.
yes. And I believe that is due to lack of education. The actual definition of feminism is the theory, let me highlight the fact that it's a theory, of political, economical, cultural, social equality of the sexes.
Okay.
Sexes, no, let me dial back. Sex versus gender, right?
that's a good one.
Sex is determined by your biological DNA and
Right.
makeup, right?
Mhm.
XX chromosomes for women and XY for male.
Mhm.
You cannot switch those up. Those are just, how science
how
defined
DNA
them.
falls
That's
into
just
place.
how
Yeah.
science, facts, those are facts,
And
right?
that is your sex. Whereas gender, on the other hand,
Gender is more geared to your role, right? So as society had developed, certain gender roles fell towards certain sexes.
Right.
Gender roles such as raising children, cooking, cleaning, going to work,
yeah, the
paying
general
the bills,
caregiver role. Yeah,
Well, that's not just the caregiver role, right? The caregiver role is, let me take care of the kids, let me take them to school, let me feed them, let me provide for them, et cetera, et cetera. The other part of caregiving role is the money. Where does that money come from? The money is usually placed on the pressure of the males. The males are the ones who are supposed to bring the money to a home, right? So it goes both ways, right? So those are gender roles. And historically and presently, they've been assigned based on sex. Because sex also is related to emotion, right?
Yeah.
Women are more nurturing. Women are more apt to be the developer,
right.
right?
Or at least that's the stigma that's
That's
kinda-
the
Exactly, the
stereotype.
stigma,
Yeah,
the
the-
stereotype, what
that's the ideology
society
that's
behind it.
has.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the social construct.
Yes,
and all
that's
of
what
it. Yeah.
society has ingrained us for many, many centuries, and, as of a couple of, decades ago, those social stigmas and gender roles have been, argued against, right?
Correct.
But because of that, such a long time before when those roles were established, and now gender and sex have been separated by a very, very vague line, right? A lot of people, if you ask, they don't know the difference between gender and sex, right?
That's
if you
true,
say
that's
gender, what is your gender? Are you female or male? That's not necessarily how you
Right.
are identified
Yeah, of course.
biologically,
Because
right?
it can be fluid.
Yeah,
it's
it
more
is fluid.
socially constructed.
Yes.
Something
Yeah,
that can
exactly.
maybe
If you
change
see
the
now,
context.
right,
Yeah.
there's so many more women going to work and so many males staying at home and taking care of the children. I mean, look at, certain commercials. I can't come up with any specific ones, but there are numerous commercials where it's the dad doing the laundry, the dad making and cleaning the house,
So-
or raising the children and doing what society has deemed as female roles, right? Female roles. Female being, deemed by XY, sex.
Okay.
Roles.
I think that's a good point. Now, what I want to ask you, though, is like, you're saying it's like, equal for all sexes is what you said, right? For
equality.
Equality,
yes.
Right? So what I'm trying to figure out is why don't we call it an equalist, or like, why is it feminist?
Exactly.
Right.
It seems like at that point it takes on a bias.
Right.
Right.
Well, equality is trying to make it seem like there's a homogeneous aspect to humanity, which we know not every one of us is the same, right?
Right.
That's what equality is saying. Feminist is advocating for those gender roles, but not advocating for the stereotypes that are associated with the gender roles.
Yes, so
is what feminist is saying.
For instance, like equalist could be involving like getting rid of racism as well.
Yes, equalist is more of a broader umbrella. It's not just specifically towards sex and gender. It's towards culturally. It's towards racially. It's towards ageist. Now, ageism is becoming a very prominent, millennials versus Gen Z versus, baby boom, et cetera, et cetera. That's a whole
all these
different
social
thing.
changes are gaining prevalence. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's not, and that falls under the whole umbrella of equalists, right? That's even more utopian and more, theoretical and idealistic reality.
Yeah.
Whereas feminist is more geared towards your gender, right? Not necessarily other factors. It's like everything else is constant. The only thing that is deeming, scalable is, whether you're female or male.
Right. So discussing, I think we've defined what it means to be a feminist. But what are some productive measures that, we can all take in general just to really help aid or take this progressive movement a little bit more forward?
Right.
And help assist.
For sure. Help us all.
Well, my primary focus and step would be education. Just education, just based on the definition of feminism, right? Taking away the misconceptions and the negative connotations from that word and saying that, hey, feminism means equality, not that, men are better than, or women are better than men, or that, feminists do this and, feminists do that, et cetera, et cetera. Same, I think a lot of these misconceptions are only focused on the extremists of, feminism and feminists, or, bad experiences or not complete total understanding of the concept.
Right. And just to get this all correct and stuff, it's not just the men that can construe this.
No. There's women who can misconstrue
right, as
it
well, and
so many times. Even for
take
me,
it as like a hate towards guys. Almost,
for me,
right?
for a while, I always thought feminism meant that women are better than women are better than men, right? And so that's why for a while I refused to associate myself as a feminist, right? Because I did not believe that women are better than men. It was and I just didn't like to be associated like that. I didn't want people to be like, oh, she's a feminist. That means, that she thinks that she's better than men, because that is not what I do. I believe that we are all equal and we should all be treated equal.
Yes.
And that's why I was stepping back away from that term.
Right.
However, and, I realized that I shouldn't be stepping away back from that term. I should be helping other people understand the misconception that I myself experienced.
Nice.
But at the same time, I feel like, not to take away from empowerment of being, female, I think it can be empowering within itself, just gaining that equality,
Well, that empowerment.
No, yes. I agree.
No, it is empowerment to
Yeah.
getting that equality because the whole basis of, being feminist, and I agree, it is very deceiving because in feminist, the Latin root word is femin, it's female, right? So, of course, using, common sense, you think it's always going to be geared towards the females, right? but it is actually the maintaining of the equality of men and females, you know, saying that, like, hey, it shouldn't matter about the things that we can't control, like how we are born or what we were assigned at birth, but rather like things that we can control, like our aptitude, our skills, our intelligence, you know, like our capabilities, rather than like things that we have to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
No control over.
So I guess, like, as being male, you know, what are some things that maybe I can do or us men can do that can really assist in this progressive movement?
Yeah, that is a very good question. I mean, just understanding that, like, as feminists, we don't think that, you know, we deserve the better. We just want to be the same. We want to be seen as the same. We don't want to be like, oh, because she's a female, she can't lift this 50-pound box, right? See us as a weakness, or as, you know, Pixar and Disney have so, you know, miraculously expressed the damsel in distress, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like,
not
yes,
all of them are, right?
not all of us are. Like, look at Mulan. She was the one who became a
That's a good
warrior,
example.
right?
Good
Like,
example.
she was one of those people who was going against the stereotypes of being a woman. Like, hey, they didn't want any women in the army, right?
Right.
But she went and, you know,
did it. She put in work.
She
and
knew,
she
yes.
saved the day.
You know, and so, like, it shouldn't be like that. Like, I don't feel like, hey, you're a woman, you can't fight. You know, even if a person, like, has the same feelings, the same things as a man.
Okay. Now, one thing, one sentence, I guess you can say to wrap up the feminist movement, or how people should be feeling about it, or your thoughts on it. Go. What is it?
If the stereotype of the gender that you are associated with at birth, you know, suits you, go for it. If you're female and you want to be that, you know, societal pressured, you know, like, raise children, no job, you know, go for it. If you want to be this, you know, what society deems as a stereotypical male, bringing the work, you know, go for it. But I feel like people should not feel pressured, especially from society, who don't know who exactly you are, who you're capable of, you know, put that pressure of you to perform in any way just because, you know, we have that patriarchal society. Be who you want to be, not who society expects you to be.
So do you.
Nice.
Do you. Don't worry about everything else. Just do you. If you're making
you.
yourself happy, then nothing else matters. Just do you.
Exactly.
All right.
That's what it sounds like.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like. And thank you for talking to us about that,
Well,
shedding
thank you.
light on all of us, and, you know, helping us out with that.